lights are a little brighter up here. But no, how's everybody doing? Good, good. Obviously start off with just letting everybody know that thoughts and prayers of Card Nation are with everybody that was affected by the storms this weekend. When we see what happened yesterday with our women's basketball team and the organization efforts by Jeff and the arena and the mayor, it makes you realize what's really important in this world. It also makes you realize that sports is just a small fraction of everything that transpires around us. So just thinking about everybody that was affected. I know I reached out to my counterpart at Western Kentucky, just saying, "Hey, hope you're okay." And I was thinking that I would expect to hear, "Oh, all good," and I didn't hear that. I heard that his house was destroyed, and that his family was in the basement, but everybody was okay. But it's moments like that, like I said, you really get to understand what's important in life. So. Just to reiterate what I said this morning, I'll make this quick and we'll open it up for questions. I've worked here for a long time now in this university, this athletic department, these student athletes, coaches, this brand. It's really, really important to me. It means a lot to me. There's two universities that I really feel something for in my heart, and that's this place in Villanova. And like I said this morning, I just want everybody that's part of this community, whether it's living in Louisville, a donor, a fan, a student athlete, whatever it may be, any connection to this campus, that they're proud to wear that bird head on their chest. That's really, really important to me. And I think the way that we do that is through consistency. I think that's critical, that we deliver the same message every day, that we're going to be really good at what we do, and we're going to strive for excellence in everything that we do. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Josh, what's your first thing that you want to get done, in the athletic department now that you've taken over?
Make sure that the focus this week is on our volleyball team. They didn't get the respect and the recognition that they deserved last week because of all the noise going on around campus. And I understand, obviously, losing two very prominent leaders. But this is an extremely special season, and you guys know that. They're undefeated, 2 wins away from a national championship, our first ever women's team national championship. So if we could divert the focus to them this week, that would mean a lot to me.
How much authority do you feel you have as an interim working for an interim president?
The conversations I've had with Dr. Gonzalez is that I'm going to have the opportunity to make the decisions that need to be made to move this department forward. And I don't feel like I'm going to be hamstrung in any form or fashion. Obviously, as decisions have to get made, I'll make sure that I communicate with her, and we'll see if I can make those or not. But she sure hasn't given me any indication that I can't.
Josh, as kind of in the back here, as the process went on with Vince, because how much did you know about Vince, whether he was leaving or staying, and when did you finally find out that you were going to be moving into the interim spot?
Yeah, I didn't know a whole lot. Obviously, there's some contract language in there that wouldn't allow him to talk to anybody about it, and so I feel like I was finding out as other folks were. And Vince and I've chatted a lot. I was on the phone with him last night, probably at 10:30, just going over a couple of things. And so while he was dealing with that, I think I was focused on what are the next steps for this athletic department, because that's my job. And I think that was what was really special about this athletic department last week. Is, like I said, there was a lot of noise around the campus and the athletic department. And we didn't skip a beat. If you were there on Saturday, you realized how special that was. As you watched those videos about Freedom Hall roll out throughout the week, everybody in that department did their job, and they did it really well.
Going back even like to a week ago today, how surprised were you when this all started becoming public, and then and the additional news on Friday that President Ben DiPuti was leaving? What was your reaction?
I think I would tell you, I don't think there's anything in college athletics that surprises me. Look, people, they look at other opportunities, and as I always tell people, if you're making $50,000 and somebody says, "I'll pay you $100,000," you'd be foolish not to look. And I would tell that to anybody that's in our athletic department. I'm one of those believers that we have jobs to take care of our families, and if there's better opportunities out there, then absolutely take a look at them.
Josh, you mentioned not only the noise right here in the back, the noise from, you could say, last week, and just everything that's kind of been talked about throughout, Louisville athletics. Was there any hesitation on your part initially to step into this role, or was it a no-brainer that you wanted to do this?
It was a no-brainer. This was an easy decision. This is like I said, this is a really strong athletic department. As I said this morning, it's rock solid. It really is, and that's a tribute to everybody that works in this department. It's a tribute to Vince. If you look at what's transpired over the last 4 years, and I was an outsider, right, when I went to Villanova. I left here at the end of 2016, and so I watched a lot of things unfold from an outsider's perspective, really as a fan, because that was the only influence I had. I didn't spend a lot of time reaching out to staff members here because I was focused on everything at Villanova, but I did watch it closely from afar. And so I've seen some bad times. I've seen some really good times. And so when you ask me that question, if I feel like I could help provide more good times, then I'm going to try to step up and do that. And I think we can do that, like I said, with the staff, with the coaches, with student athletes that we have right now.
Beyond your desire to focus on the volleyball team, are there some short-term, long-term initiatives that you want to undertake? Obviously, there's some issues with retaining donors or disaffected donors. Still no naming rights at Cardinal Stadium, that sort of thing. What's on your list?
Yeah, I've started to put that list together. I think priority number one is making sure that our volleyball coach understands how much we want her to continue to be our volleyball coach. And I know that her and Amy Calabrese, who is her sport administrator, have had those conversations. And I think that we'll see something here in short order relative to retaining Danny. And then, like you hit on, we do have some things to do, whether it's the naming rights, which we're going to continue to work on. Michael Dudas is standing right back there. He's been leading that initiative. It didn't slow down one bit. And then for me, it's just looking at how do we tweak a few things. And for me, it's more on the external side from a communication standpoint. Internally, like I said, I know I sound like a broken record, but we're really strong. We have an unbelievable staff. Our senior team, we met Monday and said, hey, this is what could happen. We weren't sure. We kind of talked through what might happen, what we're going to do if it does happen, if it doesn't happen, and we said, all right, we're going to keep moving. And relative to donors, I don't know, Tim, I'm not hearing that at all. The folks I talked to, and I've talked to a bunch of them this weekend, they're really proud of what's happening right now. And so we're going to continue down the path that we've been going down.
Josh, National Signing Day coming up for football. Important for the football staff to know they have the support of the administration. What can you say about that and Scott Satterfield's future here?
Yeah, let me clear the air a little bit on football. And look, we would have liked to have done this sooner, but hopefully we read the room correctly here. And as we didn't have a president or an athletic director, we said let's sit tight on our football coach speaking publicly because we had planned to do that at the beginning of last week. But Scott Satterfield's our football coach, and we're happy that he's our football coach. And I communicated that to their entire staff this morning. And I was in that meeting with Vince and with Scott, and I would tell you it was a better part of 3 hours, and there was a lot of emotion in that meeting. And most of that came from Scott. He was very, very passionate about the fact that we need to be better than we were. And that doesn't mean that he doesn't feel like we're making progress, because obviously if you look back, and I did this, look back at the results from 2018 till now, that is progress. But it's not where we want to be. And everybody knows that. Scott knows that. I know that. Our fans know that. But that doesn't mean that Scott isn't going to be supported. We're going to support him like heck. We're going to give him every resource to be successful. And I think he will. I really, really do. If I didn't think that, it'd be a different conversation right now. I think the eye-opening thing for me as we went through that meeting was the plan that Scott had put together as far as how we get better, the emotion that he showed, and on a couple of fronts. One, just things that transpired over the year, but two, how emotional he was about making sure people know that he wants to be here. And then lastly, as we were leaving, and like I said, it was emotional. It was an intense meeting. And I said, "Are you doing okay?" And he said, "This was probably the hardest week of my life." And that wasn't just because of his dad passing away. He knows what happened on that field, and he knows that we've got to be better than that.
When you came back from Villanova, did Vince recruit you, or did you decide you wanted to come back? And secondly, are you interested in becoming the athletic director here full time?
So, answer the first part of that question. I'm not really sure. We met at a wedding from a mutual friend who actually works in the athletic department, and just had some conversations and continued to text back and forth. And I think I had told him how much I enjoyed living here and working here, and obviously he was looking to fill the void of a deputy AD, and so we had a couple conversations, and it went from there. As far as wanting this job permanently, I mean this with all sincerity. I want what's best for this athletic department, this university. If I can be of help in a permanent role, in an interim role, then I'll step up and do it. And if the leaders think that it's better for somebody else to be in an interim role, a permanent role, then I'm totally comfortable with that.
Josh, how much did your time at Villanova, when you left Louisville, go to Villanova, before you came back, how much did that shape you and prepare you for the role you're in now, you feel like?
A lot. The leaders on that campus, starting with Father Peter at the president's level, Mark Jackson, who is a dear friend and the athletic director there, Jay Wright, Father Rob, the impact they had on my life in those two and a half years is profound. Those are some of the best leaders I've ever been around, and all different in their own right. And as I've tried to think how I'm going to lead an entire department, an entire team, what I try to do is take bits and pieces of people that I've worked with, people that I've interacted with over the years, great leaders, and just try to create my own leadership style. And I feel that I've been very fortunate to be around a number of really, really good ones.
Back to football real quick. How much of that plan can you share with us that Satterfield presented to you? And then I assume it sounds like we'll be hearing from him soon.
Yeah, expectation is that he'll have a conversation Wednesday, obviously talking about recruiting, and then I think get into some more details relative to some of the things I'm talking about right now. One, recruiting. And if you look around the country, our recruiting staff isn't at the size that it needs to be. And so we need to beef that up, and we're committed to doing that. We will do that. I think another really important position coming out of that meeting was a player development position, and everybody always wonders what is player development. And for us, and it's different around the country, but for us, it's going to be almost certainly a former player who just has the credibility to get around the locker room and just talk to the guys about competing at a very high level. And so I think that would probably give you a better sense of who we would be targeting.
Where do you feel like your background best applies for this job? I mean, where do you feel like you can really help?
I think that I've done just about everything that you can do in an athletic department. I was initially in the ticket office and then moved over to marketing and then operations. I was hired as the Associate AD of Finance at Villanova. I've managed $70+ million capital projects. Villanova did not have a donor awards program, so started that from scratch there. Been a sport administrator with a number of sports. So I would hope that I can provide support, provide leadership in just about every area of the athletic department.
Josh, I know probably the ultimate goal is always to be an athletic director for you, but with the emotion of the last week and the ups and the downs, could you have ever imagined that you would get here in this fashion? And then second part, will you make any changes to the structure of how things because of what you were doing, will you still do your old job with the new job?
Yeah, last week was tough, right? Because you're having a friend, a boss, a mentor going through the things that he was going through, and you're kind of seeing it at arm's length just because he couldn't talk about some things. And so you're trying to do that, but you're also trying to step up and fill that void. Because once again, that was my job, not on an interim basis. That was why I was given the deputy AD title, to, if Vince or the AD was out, to kind of settle things down. And so we're trying to do that. And so while on one hand it is exciting, absolutely. I've said from day one when I got into this business in 2007, I want to be an athletic director. But I didn't foresee that it would happen this way. But I would tell you, since it's happening here, it's essentially a dream come true. And I'm sure somebody's probably going to ask this question. Is it for a day? Is it for a week? Is it for 3 weeks? I have no idea. I've never asked the question as to how long the interim tag would be placed on me or what a search process looks like. At this point, it's irrelevant to me. We're just going to do the best that we can and try to move this department forward. What was the second part of your question?
The duties that you were doing before, how will you divide those up among the staff?
We've had some meetings. I've had some meetings with some folks individually that run various departments, senior team leaders, just saying, hey, can we be more efficient? And what does it look like? And then obviously offloading some of the things on my plate. As you guys know, I'm the sport administrator, or was the sport administrator for football and basketball and baseball, men's and women's swimming and diving, men's and women's golf, as well as overseeing capital projects and some other things. So we'll try to offload those a little bit and have a general sense of what that looks like, but not going to go into it here in detail.
You worked for Tom Jurich and Vince. If there was a single attribute of each that you'd like to take with you, which would they be?
That's a good question. I think for Vince, it's just his empathy and understanding and his approach to managing people. And I think with Tom, it was just his tenacity and his refusal to accept anything, quite frankly. You guys saw him operate, and he was going to do anything he could to make sure that he put the department in the best possible light or best possible situation to win games or advance through the conference realignments. And so those probably tenacity on Tom's part and empathy on Vince's part.
This athletic department has been through a lot. What's the mood of the department today? You know, starting to get some clarity on things.
I think it's just stable. I think people are in a good spot. Vince built strong enough relationships with everybody in that department that they know he's doing okay. And so everybody's focused on doing their jobs now. And great leaders come and go. And I think our department knows that. And so while Vince is gone and it's bittersweet, they understand that it's time to move on, and that's what they're doing. If you walk the halls of the administrative offices right now, I don't think you'd hear one word about this press conference or what happened with Vince. You'd hear a lot about how we make sure that volleyball has everything they need to go to Columbus Thursday and be one win away from a national championship.
I know you already addressed the permanent AD job, but how much do you personally want to be the permanent athletic director here?
Once again, as I answered Jody's question, it's always been a goal of mine to be an athletic director. But on the flip side, I'm really not focused on that right now. And you can say that's hard to believe, but it's not. I've had so much on my mind and trying to do so many different things this last week that I'm just focused on helping this institution and this athletic department.
Josh, you were talking earlier about last week and how things were weird and not a lot of communication, obviously because of the way things happen. How important was it for you? I think late last week you might have sent an email to the entire department, how important was it for you to get out in front and say to them, hey, we're going to be okay?
Well, I thought it was important. I don't know if anybody else did. But I've received a number of emails. And that's one of the things, at least for me, from my leadership style, is trying to make sure that people understand that we care about them. I think that's critical in any leadership role, is just making sure that you understand that everybody that works for an organization has different emotions. And while you're still trying to do your job, they're trying to figure out what's going on, right? Because I think a lot of times when you get into leadership roles, you feel like you have all the information and you don't necessarily need to share it, and that's not how I operate. I want to make sure people have as much information as I can possibly give them. I'm uber transparent. You guys will learn that from me. I'm very transparent. I'm very honest, and that's all I'm going to try to do with the staff.
How much has your background as a competitive runner help you prepare for this kind of a situation, and has your training suffered at all over the last week?
You will still see me running around your neighborhood. How about that? No, I think it is a part of this job, because I would tell you, I'm not going to settle for mediocrity, and I'm the same way when I run, when I race. I want excellence in everything we do, and there's a reason I haven't run a marathon since 2015, because I don't have the time to be really good at it, so that's what we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on being really good at everything we do, and that's going to be our goal.
Josh, just to go back to football really quick, you mentioned the emotion Scott Satterfield had in that meeting. He doesn't often show a lot of emotion, at least to us. Was that rare for you to see that type of emotion from him, and what was that reaction like for you?
Honestly, no, and that's something Scott and I have talked about, and I know Vince and Scott have talked about, that Scott, it's okay to show those emotions outside of the locker room. And there are times that I wish we could pull the curtain back a little bit for fans or media to see that he does show emotion in the locker room. It was after the Clemson game that I wish you guys could have seen that he was practically in tears because he wanted that so bad. He wanted that victory so bad for his program, for his guys. And I think that's the other important piece of this, of all of this, is as the administrator for the football team, I'm around those guys a lot. And I ask them, how are you doing? How's the football staff? Just trying to get a better sense of where they're at, where their head's at. And I've yet to find a student athlete who doesn't want to play for Scott Satterfield.
As a brief Philadelphian, can you tell us Pats or Genos?
It's not the first time I've gotten that question, and I couldn't tell you because I ate there one time. I don't know which one I ate at. I went because some friends wanted to go. So needless to say, I did not eat as many cheesesteaks as I should have when I was in Philly.
How many marathons have you run, and what's your fastest?
We'll say 7 or 8. I'm not sure. And I ran a 2:37 in Boston. What's that? 2014, and I wore a Louisville shirt doing it. Louisville field hockey, if I'm not mistaken, because my wife was a former coach for the field hockey program here.
I was going to ask, I mean, with the two kids, do they know now any difference, or when you left this morning and when you come home tonight?
Yes, I had a tie on. And it was brought up by my 5-year-old. As I was telling him goodbye, he said, "What are you doing today, Dad? You never wear a tie." I said, I just got a couple of things going on today, bud.
Anything else, anyone? Great, thank you.
All right. Look forward to working with you guys. Thank you.